You can tell she's a competitor. The arms are crossed. She's ready. She has her white stance. Let's go.
If we can focus on the next thing instead of just sit in the suck.
Not practicing defensive skills is certainly a choice, but probably not the right one. Let's find out why.
Welcome to the DSPN Softball Central podcast, your comprehensive look into the world of fast-pitch softball.
In softball, defense is often the difference between winning and losing, and today's guest built her game on it. Morgan Stuart is a former standout infielder with the Washington Huskies, and now the owner of Defense Lessons in Anaheim, where she trains athletes to become confident, high-level defenders. Welcome to the show, Morgan.
Right. Awesome. Excited, guys.
So the first thing I wanted to ask you about is, what's the most common defensive mistake you see in young infielders, and why do so many players make that mistake?
Great question. I feel like there's so many answers that I could give, and it's kind of part of my job to identify those things. I would say the most common thing across the board, whether you're a beginner or maybe a more seasoned 12U, 14U player, I would think is having our glove in between our feet instead of out in front, right? We're so often we hear get your butt down by our coaches, our parents, and we've taught our defenders to have our chest down and our butt back, and that's going to get our hands out in front.
So I totally understand what you're saying with the glove forward. You know, like when you're younger, you're taught, like you said, get your butt down, glove down, but not back between your legs, because if the ball gets there by then, there's nothing you can do about it. You have no movement to move your glove around to try and get the ball if you get a funky hop or something. So that makes total sense.
Yeah, you got to see the ball to catch the ball. And if that glove's not out in front, we're not seeing anything, right?
Right. This episode is sponsored by The Glove Pope. From custom glove builds to expert restoration, pro-level relacing, break-ins, and conditioning. Visit theglovepope.com or at The Glove Pope across all social media platforms. Mention DSPN for a 15% discount.
So you grew up in Riverside, went on to play at Washington. What was the recruiting process like, and what drew you to the Huskies?
I honestly wanted to go to the University of Texas. My dad played football there, and my recruiting process started with me writing to Texas and thinking this is going to be my story, and getting a letter back from Coach Clark saying, hey, sorry, we're done with our 2020 or 2006 class. Wow, I'm a little bit older than 2026 class. And, good luck, hook 'em. And I'm like, okay, that's a rejection. No problem. I'm not even in the 2006 class. I'm in 2007 class. So that was the start of my journey. And I think I love sharing it because so many kids have that dream school and it's going to be this fairy tale. And in reality, it's a journey. And for a lot of kids, it's a marathon, right? It goes on for a while. I decided, after Texas wasn't an option for me, I want to play in the Pac-10, and I want to stay close to home so my family can fly. And I ended up having the option between Washington and Arizona. And the funniest part about that is Washington said, hey, you're going to be our shortstop. I go into Mike Candrea's office. He says, we would love you to play third base. And in my head, I'm like, well, I'm not a third baseman, so I guess I'm going to go to Washington. They want me more. And I ended up playing third base and loving it at Washington.
So you wound up being a third baseman after all.
So Candrea wanted to convert you to third base, huh?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, Mike Candrea is a legend, right? Like Team USA
Yes,
coach.
absolutely.
I'm in his office. I'm seeing all these Team USA helmets, gold medals, and I know Arizona's won championship after championship. And I'm sweating in there, just going, this is such an honor to be in his office at all. And I'm hearing the words and I'm like, okay, I'm a kid. All these kids getting recruited, it's hard to prioritize what matters most to you. And ultimately there's no wrong choice. That's something that Coach Tard has said so many times, and I love this piece of advice for kids, is there's no wrong choice. There's just the choice you make, and you're going to make adjustments along the way. So I've had a great experience and no regrets.
Kind of off topic here. We just spoke with Sam Bannister, who was at Arizona about the
She's
time you would have.
awesome.
Yeah, about the time you would have been there. I tell you, we're going to have to do a lot of bleep editing with her.
I bet. I follow that girl and I
I
love
love
what
it.
she says. It's just
Oh,
like, man, that's not my character online, but like somebody's got to do it and she just kills it. She's
she,
I
awesome.
love it.
yeah,
Exactly.
she definitely owns that space. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
So after graduating, you went on to volunteer coaching at UC Riverside to an assistant role at LMU, then made the leap into youth training. What made you walk away from traditional coaching to go out on your own?
A lot. I think it's a very clear path and maybe not super clear, but there is a path that's very defined from going from player into the college coaching space. And once I got to my assistant job at Loyola Marymount, I just have such a calling to development, and there was so much paperwork and so much other stuff that I like had no idea about. And honestly, I just feel so lit up and energized when I'm just teaching the game. And college coaching is, gosh, those people, they're like superheroes to me. I don't know how they have a regular life and then like their job, and they care so much about those players. It's a very intense life, and it's one that I guess I had a choice to stay on that path, or me and three of my friends, we started the package deal around like that same summer that I was going into Loyola Marymount in my assistant job, and that kind of blew up. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to try something different. This is a risk because I have no idea how it's going to go, but there's so much energy there, and I'm going to try it.
Perfect. And actually, that's leads us into the
the next thing,
the
very
exact
next question.
the very next question.
You co-founded the package deal with Jen Schro, Amanda Scarborough, and Katie Schro. What did that collaboration teach you about building something in the softball space?
The lessons are endless. The lessons are truly endless. I think the first one is I had no idea about social media. I had posted on Instagram a couple times, had no idea about branding, marketing, anything. And in terms of what I learned about that is there was such a thirst for knowledge and drills that the cup could never be full. You could post a drill every day and people would still want more. So that's kind of where I got that mentality. And I think the other thing is the four of us had such different personalities. We are very, very different, and it made it awesome because, uh, all kids on all teams are very different, but they come together for a common goal, and it taught me a very different lesson in that I've always been a shy kid growing up. I never wanted to be the center of attention, never thought I needed to speak up if like what I thought was already out in the open, but how you say things and who you are matters so much to be represented in the public eye, whether you like it or not. Like, you have to tell your story, and it means so much to the kids that were like you because they can see that and they go, okay, well, what I want to do is possible because I see myself in Morgan. I don't see myself in Amanda. I don't see myself in the other girls. I just think it's really important for everybody to tell their story.
I know, and with watching your videos and my daughter has had the opportunity to do the Gentros retreat a couple times, so I know you do your lessons and stuff in the same facility. Morgan, what was the light bulb moment that led you to create defense lessons in Anaheim?
Yeah, I'm going to just be very real. I mean, with Package Deal, we started out and we knew people were going to buy catching lessons. We knew they were going to get those pitching lessons and hitting. And because these have always existed, defense wasn't part of our original, plan. And after, I don't even know how much time had gone on, maybe a year, maybe a few months, we did like a hitting defense joint event and nobody could play catch. And it was like, whoa, what suit are we in? And it was a pattern that started to show up. And I mean, it was a risk, but it wasn't because I have always loved defense. It's always been like my thing and I connected to it. So it was a leap in terms of the business plan, but it wasn't a leap in terms of like if I wanted to do it. So of course I wanted to do it. Just hopefully people show up. So we kind of tested it as the package deal, and then when the opportunity came to, hey, I'm going to not be a college coach and say, no, thanks. I don't want a salary. I don't want a retirement plan. I'm going to do clinics and I'm going to start lessons. And I guess for all of the coaches out there that are trying to do the same thing and like power their own business, it starts out and it's really scary. It's really scary.
Mhm.
And you just, I just kept going. You know, I showed up and some of those first lessons looked so different. It was just me and there a couple kids, me and maybe one other coach and like 6 kids. And now you look at it and you kind of don't even recognize it because there's 10 kids and I've got a staff of 12 coaches and it's like, wow. Um, this took a turn and it took a turn because I kept showing up. We've been doing it for 13 years now, so it's been pretty
Wow.
amazing.
That is awesome. And you talk about the hitting, pitching, catching. People say everybody loves the long ball, right? The home run.
Mhm.
But for me, if I see someone at the hot corner or shortstop dive, get dirty, and then come up and throw them out at first base from their butt or from their knees, that is more exciting than a home run to me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a nerd for defense. So, like, when I go to a baseball game or a pro softball game, I'm watching pregame and I'm watching the people take their short hops and what's their routine? How are they playing catch? What are they focusing on? What are their drills? But I mean, you got to hit to play. So when I'm talking to my
Mhm.
kids, I love that they love defense too. Like, those are the kids that show up to me, are the people that gain their confidence through these skills that in all honesty, are easier than hitting. So how we talk about it is like we want to build our blocks. Like let's create our foundation, let's gain some confidence, learning some skills, getting better really fast because you can on defense and then use that for fuel as you do the harder things in softball, which is striking out a lot and not getting on base for 2/3 of the time. It's very difficult.
So why do you think that defense is like the often forgotten half of the game, especially of player development?
Well, when you're in the spotlight, I mean, I just think of how a player feels when they're on the field. There's a lot of emotion that's tied to being in that box and you're by yourself and everybody's looking at you. And every pitch that you get is yours to hit or yours to miss. And it's like game on, right? And so that emotion is so tied to their ride home. That emotion is so tied to, all right, where's my hitting coach? I got to find my person. And then in all reality, like kids as they're growing up, they don't have a ton of time. And now more than ever, kids in Southern California, we don't even have they don't have 1 day off. It's kind of insane. So, in terms of why focus on the hitting, I think it's a mental emotional thing that kids need to take care of that. I'm not saying, "Hey, don't go to your hitting lesson." Absolutely go. Learn how to hit. Learn to love to hit because that's something that I didn't do as a kid. I was just like, "Ah, I'll be fine." And then you're just gritting your teeth through your entire career. And I think I've been able to frame it in a way where, "Hey, let's try this. Use this to build our confidence. Use it as kind of a mentality tool." But yeah, it's really easy to be forgotten because when you're out there on defense, you can not get a ball all game and you'll be fine. Like, cool. I'm out here. I'm ready. Um, but I think that's to me one of the hardest things is being able to bring yourself to a hard focus every single pitch, whether you're getting a ball or not. Um, and that's what professionals do. And they actually are ready every single time.
Yeah, because if you take a play off, that's the play that that ball's coming to you, and
Inevitably, right?
you didn't get ready. Exactly.
Morgan, you used the phrase mental armor. What are the first few layers of the armor a young player needs to build to handle the failure that comes with playing high level travel softball, college? play?
Let's see. First couple layers, I would say failure recovery is something that, I mean, is very overarching as a theme in terms of playing softball. We have a system called ASAP training where we want to acknowledge what the failure is. We want to spot how we're reacting, like what our personality is in that type of failure. Then we want to actually make an adjustment, do something different to get a different result, and then practice it over and over and over again. Yeah, failure recovery is obviously difficult. None of us like to fail. And me, myself, I think there's a lot of people in this realm of perfectionism that I uh, teach and I see weekly. These kids, they get so frustrated because they fail or they don't do something perfect and they're not able to compete. Like we take ourselves out of that competition phase and we plug in this analytical, overthinking, all in our feelings phase, and it takes us out of the game. That's the first thing that I will always say to athletes or for athletes is we have to learn how to maximize that failure, use it, and reframe it in our minds instead of it being so negative and devastating and just like the end of everything. It's the start of showing us what we need to do now, what's important now.
So it sounds like from failure to fuel. How does it fuel you to improve or move forward? I love that. That's great.
So my question is overcoming the failure, right? We all see someone strikes out and the body language goes down the tubes and all that. But a lot of people teach like a routine. Okay, here's what you need to do. This is what I did. So my question is, did you have a routine that you did if you made an error on the field or you struck out or you popped up? Was it some routine that you did?
Most of what I did, teach kids not to do, honestly. And that's where like my books come from. A lot of what I've written and what I share on social media is due to the fact that I wish I was better. And I don't have any regrets because I wouldn't be writing these books. I wouldn't be in front of kids if I had this fairy tale
Mm.
journey through softball. But I think a lot of what I teach is that awareness piece, and that's where I feel my role is. Because hey, I majored in psych and soc, but I'm not a doctor in it, and really majoring in something just uncovers all the things that you don't know about this really interesting subject. So that's something that I say all the time. Hey, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. My role is I'm a softball coach, and I know this stuff is really important, and I also know that for elite athletes, there's a really thin line between the mental game and mental health. And so our my system that I've kind of developed with this brand that I'm working through as we speak is called The Real Work. And outside of just softball drills, I talk about kind of 5 steps with these kids. And outside of that ASAP training, which is just failure recovery, we talk about developing the whole athlete. We want to create awareness, which I think is a big role of mine. Okay. What's going on? Are you struggling with getting playing time? You are down on yourself. You have negative self talk. What's happening? 2, let's own it, right? Let's take some personal responsibility. Where can we actually grab onto this and make the choice that we can figure it out? It's nobody else's fault or it's nobody else's control except for us to deal with this. 3, after taking personal responsibility, now let's respond and adjust. Let's do something different. And this is kind of mirroring the failure recovery. But after that, we want to create those good habits. And then once we have that discipline to do those good habits over and over again, now we can become that athlete we've always wanted to become. Defense is amazing, but majority of what kids go through is that mental and emotional piece, and that's the thing that holds them back.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you see it all the time. It's all the time.
We touched on this earlier. What are other clumsy mistakes you see in youth infielders, and which ones are the easiest to fix today?
Yeah, clumsy mistakes. We talked about hands straight down. I think 2 other ones are really easy to notice and then adjust to. So one is like a loud glove. You see infielders, this is mostly like the younger ones. They roll their wrists or they'll flip their glove. So we
Mhm.
talk about pocket awareness a lot. Pocket, one, the kids have to know which one's their pocket. Pocket's the middle of their glove. Web is the part that they always point to. So we want the pocket facing that ball, and we want to act like that pocket's got a camera in it. We want to film the ball the whole time. We don't want to hide that camera. So that's one. And then I actually probably have two more. Another one would be where they're separating the ball from their glove. If a lot of infielders will field the ball and bring the ball to kind of the right side of their body, move their glove to their throwing hand. You see this a lot in catchers because they're like short and quick. When we want to get a little bit more power on our throw, we want to try to separate the ball middle, separate middle of our body so we can actually load our shoulder blade back, separate with the ball down. And then last one would be controlling our glove arm when we're throwing, especially a lot of youth athletes. A lot of them will also be pitchers, and so they'll like smash their glove down on their leg when they throw overhand or just get like a little bit of a crazy glove, and that tends to hurt their consistency as well.
The one that hits for me is the glove hand during the throw. A lot of coaches make sure, especially when they're playing catch and they're warming up, that that glove is always in the right position to make that throw. Sometimes it looks like a bird wing to make sure that that glove hand is helping you and not hindering your accuracy. If you're a fan of the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We offer a $5 single tier with no frills. It's just helping support the show. Every cent goes into making the next episode better. You can find more details at patreon.com/softball central. So your focus on the girl you used to be, the little perfectionist, holding herself back from her own potential. How do you reach that player and get her out of her own head that someone that was like you?
Well, different ways. I think if a kid's not ready to re-engage with you, it's really hard to teach anything. So I have a couple ways since being around kids so much. Kids like to laugh, they like to play games, and it depends kind of what age you're dealing with. If you're dealing with 12, 13-year-old or 14-year-old kid that is past the laughing, fun, let's play a game so you forget about your worries, that's kind of the hardest one. That's the tough nut to crack, and that's one that I always think about. It's helpful to kind of get back in that mindset and just go, "Okay, hey, I know you're upset. I know I'm not gonna say anything that's going to make you feel better about how you're doing right now. Can can you just come along with me and try one thing?" I wanna call out or I guess in a way, not just dismiss how she's feeling. I wanna
Mm.
validate that, "Hey, your feelings are real. I know exactly how you feel because I used to feel like that, but it's really gonna be easier if we can focus on the next thing instead of just sit in the suck."
Mhm.
So, I think, yeah, validating the feelings is a tool that I really use a lot just because I think a lot of kids don't hear that. They think or they hear a lot, "Hey, just think positive, just forget it."
Because I think a lot of parents do that and they think they're doing the right thing, but they're not validating the kid's feelings. The kid needs to like be able to feel it at least for 10, 15 seconds without saying, "Oh, you shouldn't feel like that."
Yeah. It's a fine line too, because I know that this is a really hot topic too, is like, okay, is your coach soft or are they like an old school coach? And I feel like I'm right in the middle. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it like, hey, that rep kind of sucked. We need to be better. But also I'm not just going to not see the kid and
Right.
understand and be in it with them and work through it with them and kind of show them the steps of that. And I think that's kind of where the hopefully the balance can live. One thing that I use a lot is focusing on like touch points. So say they're doing a drop step drill and the kid starts out and they immediately start backpedaling. Then we go into, hey, success for this drill looks like your toes are facing where the ball's going. Your gloves above your eyes and you're running. We're not backpedaling and hesitating. So you got 1 out of 3. Let's work for 2 out of 3. Which one do you wanna work on this
Mhm.
time?
Yes.
So, then that gives them that's, like, kinda teaching them how to process it and gives them little wins within maybe the result is they don't catch it, but ultimately it's pushing them in the right direction.
Right. Just get 2 out of 3 and hey, That next time you did it, that was 3 out of 3. Great job. You talk about producing valuable teammates and self-reliant athletes. In youth softball culture, that's often very results driven. How do you sell that mindset to parents?
Yeah, I think being a good teammate is all about energy, and it's really tough for kids to realize that you can feel energy even without you
Mm,
saying a word, right? And so
mhm.
I think I talk about body language, I talk about eye contact, and the fact that after you fail, it's okay to not be happy with yourself. It's not okay to then make everybody think about you w- after the play is done. And in softball, we've got, I don't know, 15 to 18 seconds in between each pitch where, okay, ball just went in between my legs. Obviously, I'm not happy about it. It's going to be almost impossible for me to not show anything on my face. Some people can do it. Amazing. But what is important now? Is it important for me to think about all the things that I could have done better? Is it important for me to show everybody that I'm upset? No. Like, what's important now, you play a team sport. It's important to give energy to your teammates. My infield coach at Washington, JT D'Amico, he talked about getting external. I had no idea what he meant when he first said this. Like, get out of my body? Like, what are you talking about, dude? And when you're internal, your brain's going a million miles a minute, your eyes are down, you are just all about yourself. But when you're external, you're giving yourself to your team. And that's what I define as being a good teammate. Obviously, there's things that players are going to have to process after the game on your own time in your lonely work. But when it's team time, that's when we have to practice being a good teammate because that's really the only thing that matters in a game to me.
Yeah, and sometimes it might just be like patting yourself, that's me, and getting louder. I was watching a Instagram post and it says when you're making a mistake, just get louder of, hey, let's go, let's get the next one. Be louder for your teammates, be louder for yourself. And it kind of just switches that switch a little bit that it doesn't allow you to be internal. You're now external because you're sharing with the team, like, let's go, let's go, let's go.
If you dwell on your mistake, you're almost being selfish, like you
Hmm.
said, because you're not thinking about the team, right? I want to try that with our kid. You're being selfish. Snap
I
out of it.
actually I actually had somebody comment on one of my posts about being a good teammate because I mentioned the word selfish. Because if I'm somebody like when I played, if somebody had said, "Hey, you're actually being selfish," I'd be like, "Oh my god, that's the opposite of what I want to be." Like I'm upset because I'm letting my team down. Like I'm upset for them because I know that they're upset with me. But you're creating this alternate reality that's like nobody's upset with you. They're thinking about the next thing, and now they're worried about you. So you're bringing energy away from the game and into this little suck bubble that like you are creating. And I think being good teammate to me, there's got to be just some awareness around that. Like, hey, this is what you're doing when you're not external. Just heads up, that's not being a good teammate.
Hmm.
Right. And then in turn, your teammates know that no one else on the field feels worse than you do that you just made that mistake. So we're not going to pile on. Let's just go on to the next thing. Okay, so you've coached D1, right? You've coached at that level. You've played at that level. You also coach the youth. So the question is, what is the biggest disconnect between how a parent sees recruitable talent and how a college coach sees recruitable talent?
I think parents, everyone likes to play the comparison game. My daughter is just as good as her. Why isn't she getting all these looks? And
Hmm.
college coaches go to a game and they're looking for difference makers. Who is the best kid on this field? Who is the kid that's going to strike out and still be a leader? Who is the kid that I need on my team to make a difference? And so I think the disconnect is parents are like, well, why not my daughter? Or so and so got this offer, so my daughter's just as good, so they're going to get a comparable offer. I think that college coaches have so much to think about, and they are calculating everything when they're out there recruiting. It's not just, you're on this team, you have these tools, you have this batting average, cool, you qualify. It's instead they're going and they're looking for one positions that they're going to need in the next however many
Hmm.
years. How am I going to fill the gaps of a roster that is going to compete what is the personality and team culture? Am I finding a fit there? And again, they're looking for leaders. When I'm giving advice like, "Hey coach, I'm going to this recruiting camp. Is there anything specific that I need to do?" Keep your eyes up, shake their hand, introduce yourself, hustle, and when you fail, get back up and continue on and try to be a leader in your group. I mean, that's a lot of things, but I think leadership is so underrated when we talk about recruiting. And it's the one thing that college coaches talk about in every single press conference and every single championship. They talk about team culture, they talk about chemistry, they talk about leadership. So those are the things where I'm like hearing the parents, not all of it is complaints, but it's a lot of fear based of like, oh, what if my daughter doesn't get this experience that she's been working so hard towards versus the college coaches just going, I need that missing piece to get us to that championship. So that missing piece is often plugging into culture and leadership and chemistry. How do you fit in a system? Not how does that system mold to you? I mean, stats will mean something in the travel ball level. Like obviously all these kids are going to play each other when you get to college, but also college coaches are looking at how does that kid fit playing at my level of college ball? How do I see her developing in the next 5 years if they're looking at her as a junior? And will she be a difference maker, impact player? They're spending a lot of money on these kids. They got
Right.
to make a difference.
Social media is a huge part of your business. What advice do you have for players who are trying to build a brand or a recruiting profile without getting lost in the comparison trap?
Gosh, I would say if you're trying to build a brand and you're trying to like make yourself known on social media, post every day. This is something that I just started doing, and I will have this caveat. It's very difficult to post every day, and it's probably not going to be the number one priority of somebody, especially before college, that's trying to get there and trying to grind. It's not your priority, so it's not a necessity. But if you're like a college kid, wants to start a business after college, and you're just like trying to dip your toe in the water, post every day because you're going to find what is sustainable, like what you like to talk about, what your personality is. And it's not about you following the trends. I think it's more about you discovering your voice and what you're passionate about. Because I think that's when social media becomes a microphone instead of like your identity, it gets fun, right? It's less about I need to have a certain follower count or I need to look a certain way. I will get on there with no makeup and just start talking about something that I believe in. And do I look back on it and wish that I had put on some mascara? Absolutely. But it's about the message, and I think if we remember that, if we want this to be a long-term thing, it is like everything else. If you are consistent with it and work hard with it at it and care about it, you just have to continue to put the effort in, and it's going to pay you back.
Well, I think also why your content is so well received is just your authenticity about it and behind it. And it's clear to see that you care about what you're talking about. And that just gets across to everyone that consumes your content. So,
Yeah,
uh,
it goes back to that culture feel.
mhm.
People trust you. They know you're not BSing them when you're telling them stuff. And to prove it, I went on camera without mascara. So there, I know I'm telling the truth.
You guys have to believe me. I wouldn't be saying this otherwise.
She has no makeup on. Listen to her.
That's the tactic.
Um,
For the quote unquote bucket dads and team coaches out there, how can they run a defensive practice that builds confidence rather than just keeping them busy with reps?
I like putting together a defensive practice that starts with everything broken down, right? So we've got a ton of reps happening, but we're working on different things. So I think there's foundational skills that everybody can work on. So you put together a little rotation where, okay, we're going to do our everydays. We're going to do some drop steps. We're going to do live reps over at shortstop because I think everybody should be training like a shortstop. And then we're going to do our footwork kind of timing drills. Then honestly, defense doesn't get a ton of time in team practices. I want them out in situations and I want them communicating. I think one of the most powerful things is when I go out to a team practice and they think like I'm going to be commenting on just their mechanics. I'm like, guys, it's silent out here. Is this how you guys play? And sometimes the coach is like, yeah, that's what I've been saying. This is how they play. And I think a huge thing in transferring uh, practice reps to game reps is we've got to instill this leadership on the team. Like they can't just be waiting for the coach to call out the play or waiting for the coach to say, "Hey, let's talk out there." It's got to come from them. So in running a defensive practice, yes, break down the mechanics, do the drills, love it. That's why I have my black book of drills. Everybody comes to me for defensive drills, but in an efficient practice, I would say 20% should be drills and the rest 80% should be on-field reps, situations, and actually putting pressure on the defense, get runners out there and have them beat the runner. I mean, so often we just narrow in on what does her fielding position look like? What's her throwing mechanic? But in reality, it's a race to beat the runner.
Mm.
So if we're not beating the runner, she's not out, and we're still out here on defense. So got to put some pressure on in practice.
With this expense of travel ball, and in my opinion, the watering down of the competition, just because there's so many travel ball teams, is there anything that worries you about where the the sport is heading?
Yes and no. Softball's exploding, right? It's growing. There's
Mhm.
so much good that comes with growth, and there's also other things that happen when you grow really fast, and that's we sometimes forget about teaching like that rec ball has a purpose. It has a purpose. You're supposed to learn the game. You are supposed to have fun. You're supposed to develop like, oh wait, I can't wait to go and play softball now instead of going to travel ball when you're 9 years old and then it's your entire life. So I think that part is kind of missing because we're infusing this competitive, my daughter's better than your daughter really, really early when I wish we could just not make travel ball a thing before 12 and under. And it's not because like, hey, I don't think they're good enough to be in travel ball. It's mostly I want them to keep that love and not to view it as like, like adults view their jobs sometimes. And uh I was just talking to kids about, "Oh, what are you going to do on spring break?" Train. And I was like, "Oh my god."
Mhm.
Or some of them are like, "Well, I'm just gonna take a break." Like, "Take a break?" Okay, from school, right? "Well, no, my mom said I don't have to go to practice on Tuesday and Thursday next week." I'm like, "Okay, okay." We're getting serious really early. Yeah, I think I love the growth of softball. Obviously, it's a sport that we all love. I do think rec ball it's okay to stay in rec ball. You don't need to be the player that you want to be when you're 9 years old. You can have fun. You can just like eat the snacks and
In
have
the
your best
dugout.
friends. Yeah.
I agree with you 1,000%. I think, the travel ball should be 12U, kind of like it had been for a long time. Seeing like 8U travel ball teams, I'm like, guys, let them play all stars first. That is a great memory
And
to
it's a
have.
rite of passage, getting selected.
And I've said this before. I think a lot of it is on the parents that want to say, "Yeah, she's 10 years old, but she's playing travel." Like, well, yeah, but they're losing 19-1 and getting run ruled every game. She's not having fun. What are you doing to that poor kid? So I agree with you, especially about the travel ball should be like 12U and up. So if I was president, I'd sign an executive order for that. How about that?
If a young player is listening right now, what's one thing they should start doing today to become elite defensively? And let's say 12U and up. How about that?
Okay. Okay. To become elite defensively, I love Austin Wasserman's drills, his arm drills and his throwing drills, and I also love Crossover Symmetry. I'm, like, name dropping these brands and not paid to do this, but I look at elite arms, elite arm actions, and also the fact that if your arm is hurt, it takes you out of the game.
Mm.
So, Crossover Symmetry has arm strengthening, arm activation programs that I think are really, really cool, especially because I get a lot of parents that ask me, "Should my daughter be lifting weights? She needs to be getting stronger, her core, her this, her that." It's like, okay, you can have her do some push-ups, or these armbands are really, really cool. All overhead sports would benefit from this. So Crossover Symmetry, and then Austin Wasserman, we use his drills all the time at defense lessons. I just love the arm action stuff. Obviously, you can learn how to throw from a baseball pitcher. I've done a ton of research on like different arm patterns and stuff like that. I just really like Austin's stuff because he takes into account like the different angles and throwing patterns for specifically infield. And I think taking care of your arm is huge, and it keeps you in the game.
Love that.
Awesome. And just so everybody knows, all the stuff Morgan's talking about, there'll be links in the show notes, so you can go steal drills if you want to go steal drills. What's something you wish someone had told you when you were 16 and grinding through travel ball?
I think I'm gonna go back to the hitting piece because hitting was always really, really scary for me, and I wish someone had said, "You need to learn to love this. You need to learn to love hitting." And the way to do that is, to me, like exposure therapy. Like, get in there, get some live at bats. You know, I was scared to death when I remember even being in practice and hitting off of our pitchers, just thinking, "Oh, I need to look good here, or else I'm not gonna be in the lineup." And it's like, no, you need to practice here. You need to like be here and like take up space. And this is your time to like figure it out instead of like, I just need to do good and then I need to get out of here. So I wish someone had told me learn to love hitting and take your reps, take up space when you're getting your reps. Stop trying to take the rep and run away because you don't want to be in the spotlight. Like take up some space.
We'll be right back with the seventh inning walk-off. Welcome back to the seventh inning walk-off. This is a little game we play with our guests. Morgan's going to answer a series of 7 questions. Some of them are trivia, some of them are opinion. The trivia questions are worth a point, and then some of the questions have 2 parts. So if you get the second point, that's an RBI. So first point's a run, second one's an RBI. Kind of a little play on the softball theme. So you ready to get started, Morgan?
Think so. Let's do it.
You can tell she's a competitor. The arms are crossed. She's ready. She has her white stance. Let's go.
All right, just so you know, this isn't travel ball trivia. This is D1 trivia. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Gosh.
I'm just kidding. Okay. In 2009, at the Women's College World Series, you set a single game record and tied another game record. What record did you set?
Hits? Doubles.
Bang, 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 bang.
With 4.
4. Nice job.
That's for sure been broken, so it's fine.
What record did you tie? It's hits with
Okay,
5
great.
five in a single game.
Yes.
Yes,
There we
awesome.
go.
Awesome.
Also, in the Women's College World Series, you had a walk-off single in extra innings to send the Huskies to the semifinals. What team did you beat?
ASU.
Without hesitation.
Yes.
You do.
And then for the RBI, what inning was it?
The 8th?
Yep, bottom of the 8th. Wow. And what player did you drive in?
Kimmy Pullman.
Correct. Yeah.
So this one's an opinion question, so you can just take a little deep breath. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna tell you which one I think she's gonna call right here.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I think so. Too.
All right. Would you rather play on dirt or turf?
Gosh, true. Yeah, turf's easier hops. I think when I actually played, I would play on dirt because I'd be more used to it. And then now, definitely turf.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So I
okay.
was wrong. I thought you'd just like jump on it and say dirt, but I like the turf for the true hop too. So that, I
Yes.
mean, that's what's nice. Except when it's 100 degrees out and that heat's coming off of that turf. Your question.
What year was the University of Washington founded?
I'm gonna sound so bad. Let's see. I have no idea. 1913?
61.
1861?
It's
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
only off by almost 100 years. That's okay.
Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
all good. All right, true or false? You were a 2-time Pac-10 honorable mention.
True.
That is false. You were a 3-time
Oh,
Pac-10 honorable
God.
mention. Little trick question
Yeah,
there for you.
that is a trick question.
All right. This is a opinion question. If you had to eat the same thing for lunch every day, what would it be?
Oh, pizza. A good pizza, though. A good
yeah.
pizza.
Yes. Not this Papagino, not this Domino's stuff.
No, bleh.
Yeah,
No,
definitely no Domino's.
no,
I'm on a
there
pizza
goes
kick
that
right now.
sponsorship. No Domino's sponsoring us. All right, so question number 7, seventh inning. Who is the most famous saxophone player to attend the University of Washington?
I don't think I know one saxophone player.
Kenny G.
Kenny G.
I was actually gonna say Kenny G.
I can go back and ask the question. You
No,
can get it right. Do you want
no. Doesn't count. I
Okay.
was like, is Kenny G, is that saxophone? Is that like a meme? I'm not sure. Okay.
He's also an excellent golfer, by the way. He's a really good golfer. Well, Morgan, this has been an absolute blast. We knew it would be. Your insight is amazing. I love all the defensive stuff that you talk about, and just keep it going, girl. It is awesome. To wrap it up a little bit, you talked about not sitting in your suck. I like that idea, and I think we're going to team up on some T-shirts for that.
We need to.
But just all the drills that you're posting and the stuff that you do, it's great. And I would like to hear the names of all of the books that you have out. And again, these will all be in the show notes with links to that. And then any other kind of plugs you want to put, just knock it out there, girl.
Yes.
Yeah. I think my most popular defense book is my Black Book of Drills. Like we have gone through a ton of those. So Black Book of Drills, if you don't know anything about me, but you're like, I want to see. So Black Book of Drills. And I've actually got my other 2 books right here. I've got my first one is The Real Work. That's me when I was, 13. And that's me
Awesome.
when I had these really cool braids. But The Real Work, this is like 12 traits that I think all youth athletes should develop. And it's kind of more for middle school age. And then this
Perfect.
one is my newest release, The Roadmap I Never Had. And it goes through my college years, basically my senior year of high school, all 4 years, and then the year right after college. Yeah, that's some real vulnerability right there, that book. So yeah,
Well,
those are it.
And where can you find those?
These are actually I believe they're both on my website, morgan-stewart.com, and they're on Amazon. So if you're just like, I want this like in 2 days, they are on Amazon. Just search my name and then The Real Work, or my name and The Roadmap, and it pops right up.
We'll have links in the
we'll
description.
have it in the description. And when we get ours, we're going to shoot down to Anaheim, so you'll autograph them for us. Is that okay?
If you guys come to Anaheim, I'll get you some T-shirts and some lessons, and we're gonna party at the workshop.
Did you plug your Instagram and Facebook pages just one more time, like if people wanted to follow you and all that stuff?
Yep. My Instagram is morganstewart18. That's where I post a lot of my mentality stuff. And then defense-wise, it's defense lessons. And my Facebook is like Morgan Stewart defense lessons.
Again, thank you so much. So fun. I want to do it again, and we'll be down in Anaheim probably quicker than you want us to be there, like 20 minutes. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, and we'll bring you the T-shirt, and we'll just meet in person, and that would be great. So thank you again so much.
Oh my God, it was
absolutely.
It was a ball. Thank you.
You guys did a great job. Great questions.
Remember, everybody, you can find us online at www.dspn.online. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram at DSPN+. Please like, subscribe, and follow.
You can find this episode and all of our episodes at DSPN Online and wherever you find your podcast.
If you're a fan of the show, please go to patreon.com/Softball Central to help support the show. All the information is there.
Thanks again to the Glove Pope for the support and sponsorship of this podcast. Visit theglovepope.com or find them on all social media platforms by searching at The Glove Pope. Don't forget to mention DSPN for your 15% discount.
I'm Rob D.
I'm Samara. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the DSPN Softball Central podcast.
Until next time, put that ball in play. You never know what's going to happen. Ciao.